Welcome to the Sunshine Travelers podcast. In today's episode, we're giving you a sneak peek into our upcoming walking adventure through the heart of Umbria, Italy, with Max Adventure. Known as the Green Heart of Italy, Umbria is a region full of rolling hills, medieval hilltop towns, olive groves, and vineyard-covered landscapes, and we can't wait to explore it on foot. Montefalco to Assisi will be following a self-guided itinerary designed to let us slow down and soak in the charm, culture, and cuisine of this beautiful region. Join us as we share what we're expecting, what we're packing, and why this style of travel is something that we've been excited to try. We're Scott and Melissa, the Sunshine Travelers.
We're all about exploring the world and sharing the journey with you, whether you're a seasoned traveler, dreaming of your next adventure, or just here for the stories.
No matter where you are on your travel journey, we've got firsthand experiences, tips, and plenty of inspiration from some of the most amazing places on earth.
So buckle up and get ready to travel with us.
Melissa, I'm really excited about this trip. It's kind of what we've been needing, or at least it's what I've been needing physically, is an opportunity to slow down, breathe in some fresh air, take in the incredible landscape of Umbria, and really just relax. Honestly, my body's been telling me this for a while, I think, and now it's time to kind of go and de-stress and do something like this.
Yeah, same here. After talking with Lauren from Max Adventure about and learning about their trips that let you explore at your own pace, I knew this would be a perfect way for us to get in some active travel, walking from town to town. And I think it's different from saying, okay, we're going to go to a city and we're going to do this and we're going to do this and we're going to do this, which almost feels like fast paced. So while we do have each day, we're going to be walking from point A to point B, we don't really have, like, it doesn't have to be a rush, right? We have the whole day to do it and just kind of explore. We are actually kind of taking like a long weekend to do it, which I think is really exciting. I'm really looking forward to it for the same reason. And I've been looking at some photos of the smaller towns that we're going to explore as we're kind of looking through the itinerary. So Montefalco, Vavagna, Spello, and Assisi. And they just look really magical. For me, there's just something about the smaller places, right? You always want to see these landmarks in some of these big cities, but I just absolutely love exploring these smaller places. I can already imagine not only the views and the food and of course the gelato, but I don't know what it's like when you just see that and just breathe all that in.
Yeah, same here. So let's start by just talking through what we're going to do in Umbria. This is new to us, doing this walking adventure. And so we want to share a little bit about it. Melissa talked about interviewing Lauren in episode 104. Go back and listen to that. And that's a little bit more about Max Adventure in general. But for our trip that we're going to do with them today, we're going to go through that in a little more detail and kind of share with you what we're expecting to see along the way.
Yeah. And Scott, we walk a good bit and we walk our dogs, but I think it's encouraged to step that up a little bit more too as we prepare for this. So I think, just health wise and benefit wise, it's already benefiting us. And they also say that just looking forward to a trip, it has such great health benefits as well.
Well, every time that I think about it, I feel just a little bit less stressful. So let's get to talking about the trip itself. So we're going to start out with, where is Umbria and why did we choose Umbria? And then also, why did we choose Max Adventure for this trip?
Yes. So we have actually never been to this part of Italy before. We briefly explored Tuscany a little bit on a day trip from a Mediterranean cruise. Maybe we should say, like, why Max Adventure first? So basically, they reached out to us. They have the podcast that we talked about. So self-guided travel podcast, which we encourage you to go listen to. So they reached out to us, about doing that, but then kind of looking at talking about what else we have, right? So we talk a lot on here about, yes, we have this podcast, but also go follow us, Sunshine Travelers Podcast, on social media. We have the blog and stuff as well. And just giving us an opportunity to explore what they do that's different, I think, from anybody else, and then inviting us on a trip to explore this with them. And so then looking at the trips that they offer, we wanted to do something. I think we talked about this a little bit in the previous episode. They have everything from very light to moderate, right? To things that are very strenuous. They have the hiking and then they also have the biking. And so for a first trip, and also to fit in kind of our timeline, we wanted to choose something that was shorter. So like I said, we're going to do this over a long weekend, but then also not, not super strenuous. We enjoy going to Italy. You guys enjoy seeing things about Italy and hearing things about Italy. So there's lots of things in Europe to choose from. And I think there's lots of great opportunities for slowing down and hiking in smaller villages. But specifically, we wanted to return to this part of Italy and explore it a little bit more, especially this time of the year. So the other great thing about Max Adventures is you can on their website, you can go see, you can sort things by how strenuous it is, how long it is, and then also the best time of the year to choose that type of trip as well. And so it just fit perfectly with what we needed to do. So beautiful landscapes. It's just, what would you say, southwest of Tuscany, right? So it's still a wine region, very similar to Tuscany. Delicious food, one of the things that they're known for. And yeah, so that was kind of like our criteria. Anything you would add?
Well, I would just say that, we've been looking for some type of opportunity like this since Mo and Erica talked about the pilgrimage that they did from Portugal to Spain, the El Camino de Santiago. And so, when this opportunity came about, we were like, yeah, we should do this. This is something kind of right along that edge of something we've been talking about, wanting to expand our travel horizons and do something just slightly different. It's still very much an upscale travel opportunity, I would say. And so it fits right along with the way that we travel and what we've been doing. We're just adding a little activity in with it. And so with that, let's talk a little bit about the overview for the itinerary. Where are we going to go? Kind of what are some of the stops along the way? I should state that we are starting in Germany. So our trip will begin from Germany, not from the US. I have to go over for a work meeting, and then we're going to tack on some time on the end of that work meeting, and that's when we're going to do this trip. So we're going to start in Cologne, and we're going to fly from Cologne to Rome, and then we'll take the train from Rome to very near where we're going to start our adventure.
So a town called Foligno. And so it's about 2 hours, I think, from the Rome Termini station. And so that makes it super easy for us to do that. And so then basically, so with Max Adventure, that's kind of what you do. So you look at the trips that they have, choose the one that, interests you. You book that through them, and then you basically just get yourself to whatever the starting point is, right? So we made the flight and the train, and then they will actually pick us up. So then I coordinated with them and said, okay, we're taking this train, and they will have somebody there when that train arrives at that station to take us to our first accommodations and of course our luggage. And so that's the other thing that we will add about this journey. So we are not doing a backpacking trip, right? So that is kind of the advantage of what they do is then each day before we leave out on the walk that we will do, we will simply leave our luggage and they will have it already prearranged. They'll come pick it up and take it to our next stop every single day. We'll just have one bag, a day pack. We'll take water. If we need to, we'll take snacks, that kind of thing. Take that along. So that's the advantage of everything that they do is they coordinate all that. And so then we could spend some time, just arranging those other travel arrangements. But really then what we're going to tell you about next is spend some time instead of having to focus on the logistics, learn a little bit more about these towns, which is really exciting. And sometimes when you're planning a trip, if you're having to make the arrangements, you don't take time to do that, I think.
Okay, so we're going to start in a town called Montefalco, and that is known as the balcony of Umbria. And I think it's just because you look out over all of Umbria and you have these amazing panoramic views of the olive orchards, of the vineyards, of all of Umbria from this hilltop town in Montefalco.
Yeah, it's also the home of Sancretino wines. So once we do this trip, we can then be very more informed about how you pronounce everything. So we'll be asking our innkeepers and everybody else, like, okay, how do you say this?
Yeah, you
as
said
well.
San
So,
Crantino. I think it's San Grantino with the
oh,
G.
Sangrantino wines. So,
Yeah.
so even though it's not, Tuscany, it's, I would say, is it going to be like Napa and Sonoma, right? Everybody is familiar with Napa, but you've got Sonoma and then Russian River and all these other things that are right there, right? Everybody knows Tuscany, but yet here, this region in Umbria is also for the wines and the olives and all that stuff too.
And so the way this trip is going to work is we'll be in a town each day, and then we'll get up the next morning, and that's when we leave for the next town and walk through. But as we're leaving Montefalco, one of the things they said is you're going to be walking through, probably not the time of year we're there, but during the summer you would walk through the sunflower fields. So just imagine that, sunflowers all around you. But definitely we'll have the vineyards and the olive orchards that will be around us. And that will just be kind of the backdrop and setting as we're leisurely taking the 6-mile walk from Montefalco to Bavagna.
So 6 miles, like that's very doable. Again, it's very moderate as well, and we can take it at our own pace and just enjoy the scenery. So I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and we've been doing like 4-mile walks with the dogs on the Greenway here recently. And so, 6 miles really is not a big deal. And you can do that in just a few hours. So it's not like it's going to even take your whole day to walk those 6 hours unless you really want it to. If you want to stop and you want to have a picnic along the way, or, you want to stop and take pictures, or if you go through a little town or something like that and there's some neat stores, you can literally take as much time as you want doing this trip.
And the other thing too is that if we had more time, you could, of course, you could stay in Rome a couple of days. We've done that. Or you could go and stay in Foligno or stay in Montefalco a day or an extra night. Thankfully, we'll get there by lunchtime that day. So we're actually going to have the whole rest of the day to explore that town as well and find some good food and see what else we can find to recommend to you guys.
So one of the questions that people have asked us as we've been talking about this is, how do you know where to walk?
Yeah. So the thing that, besides organizing the whole trip, booking your accommodations, organizing your luggage transfers, that Max Adventure does is they actually have an app where they basically tell you exactly where you're going to walk, right? And it shows you in the app the trail and if you're on the right track and all that kind of stuff. And so you download the offline maps. So then too, if for some reason that you don't have signal or whatever, you have those. And so I remember when we listened to the self-guided travel podcast, the person who did that one, Arlette, she talked about how, so she did the West Highland Way in Scotland. And she talked about how she helped some other hikers who were kind of like looking at their maps and saying, where do I go? Where do I go? And she was like, oh, are y'all doing the West Highland Way? This is the trail. And so that app was spot on. And so we're excited to try that out as well. And it just takes a lot of the, if you were kind of doing this on your own, not knowing, I don't know, I wouldn't even feel like I would venture off on something like this, not knowing how you're going to walk between these towns and where are you even going to go and that kind of thing. So just being able to use that app and it's going to tell us exactly. And we've already read through the itinerary, right? And it goes in great detail about kind of the terrain you're going to walk on. You may have to cross this road and then you're going to walk along a river or a stream on this particular part, but we will have that basically turn by turn in their Max Adventure app.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Bavagna itself. It is a medieval town that dates back to the Roman times, so we're going to see lots of Roman ruins on this trip. Its town square is considered to be one of the most beautiful in all of Italy.
Wow.
And we've seen some beautiful squares. So if this one's the most beautiful, I'm really looking forward to that. And then we're going to have lots of dishes that feature the local olive oil, truffles, and of course, a lot of the Sagrantino wines.
So I'm glad we have an adventure of walking so that we can also have the adventure of eating.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I can eat a little more by then. That's part of the stress that I've been going through, and it's really affected my health. And so I'm looking forward to just de stressing, having the opportunity to do this, and hopefully add a few different foods back into my diet.
Yeah, we'll just mention really quick, just so that you'll kind of have context, is Scott has been dealing with like a histamine issue. So in the past, he's been allergic to a few things, but now it seems to be everything. But it's not really that he's allergic to everything. It's just a reaction and it's kind of built up. So he's having to limit to very strict diet right now. So hopefully between now and then just having that de-stressed, he will be able to enjoy.
I'm getting in my walking form.
Yes, that's right. So just to give a little bit of context to that.
So then we're going to spend the night in Bavagna. And the accommodation there is kind of described as an ancient building, and it features a wellness center. So they've taken this old building, they've restored it, and now they've put a wellness center and spa inside of it.
Oh, nice. So that's actually great to have time to explore the town, but then have some time to just relax and use those facilities too after walking all day.
Yeah. So we'll grab some great dinner there. I understand there's like restaurant at the hotel in Bavagna, or I'm sure there's going to be plenty of places to choose from. But the next day we'll get up, and this is when we're going to leave Bavagna, and we're going to go to a town called Spello.
So this is about a 10-mile walk on this day. Okay, so on this day, it's going to be a 10-mile walk. So the first day would be a little bit more of a warm-up. So we have a little bit longer, and we will go through some farmland and then with views of the Apennine Mountains. So like I mentioned, we have been to Tuscany before. So I feel like the scenery is probably going to be very similar in these little towns. And so then this night, we'll be staying in a local hotel that features rustic elegance but having modern conveniences as well.
Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of these hotels and the accommodations they booked for us are all older buildings that they have renovated and turned into a really nice hotel or boutique hotel or even kind of bed and breakfast, if you will.
Yeah, and that's really exciting. I mean, don't get me wrong. We enjoy, the Marriotts and different things, but we've also in the past really enjoyed small local hotels. It's just a different feeling. So that is the town of Spello. It's also known as the Village of Flowers. So we're really excited about this one. We love flowers, gardening. They actually have a flower festival that's either in May or June. So hopefully we'll start to see a lot of, blooms and stuff like that as they're, getting ready for that or as we enter Spello. So again, a lot of Roman ruins. This is really, what did we say, about 2.5 hours outside of Rome, by train nowadays. But I think this town is going to be ideal for just like walking and exploring, relaxing once we get there. So they have artisan shops that sell pottery, handmade goods from olive wood, a lot of linens and stuff like that. So exploring that as well.
Yeah, and I was looking at this when the flower festival, it says May or June. I really believe it's kind of like late May, early June, and it just kind of, the dates fluctuate around that. However, the time that we're there should just be spectacular as we're walking into Spello. And they even talked about that they make these carpets of flowers that they lay throughout the city.
Oh, wow.
So this place really seems like if we could ever time it to be there during this festival, that would be crazy amazing.
Yeah. And really before that summer heat sets in, right. As well. So maybe we'll get lucky and can report on that. But excited to kind of explore some of those artisan shops and stuff as well.
And guess what else we're going to find in Spello?
What?
Roman ruins.
Roman ruins. Yep. So we joke about that. If you've listened to our episodes about our 6-week trip through Europe, we basically went Spain all the way through Italy, Roman ruins. Of course, we went to Rome, but then we ended up in Bath, where they have the old Roman baths in the UK. So it was basically a whole adventure of Roman ruins throughout Europe.
I tell all my friends that live in Europe, don't dig in your backyard. You're liable to dig up some Roman ruins.
But I'm so amazed too, is that because they have these big things that look like amphitheaters, even sometimes, we saw them in Tuscany, even sometimes in these small towns, but it's not like they're well known, but they're gigantic.
Well, we're going to see a few of them on this trip.
Oh, nice.
Well, let's talk about the next trip, or part of the trip is we'll leave Spello and go to Assisi. Now, Assisi is where we're going to end our official tour, but let's talk a little bit about Assisi because you're probably familiar with that name. It gets its namesake from Saint Francis of Assisi, or rather its notoriety, I guess I should say, as that was the birthplace where Saint Francis of Assisi was born.
Okay. A lot of people make pilgrims to Assisi for that reason as well.
Yeah, we saw that is not only Saint Francis of Assisi, but there's actually a younger person
Yeah,
that
who's
has
been
made the news recently
right.
that a lot of people are traveling to Assisi for.
Has been made a saint, right? That was a young person. So we'll see if they'll be, if it'll be more crowded or. So on this particular day, we actually have a couple of choices. So we could do either an 8-mile walk or an 11-mile walk. And one of them is a little less strenuous and one of them goes up a little higher for viewpoint. So it's a little bit longer, a little bit more strenuous. So we'll just have to decide, see how we feel, see how much time that we want to spend in Assisi. But this will be through some olive groves and some woodlands as well. But we will probably definitely want to at least have some time to explore the basilica once we get there and
Yeah, I
the
want
town
to
for sure.
say there's like 7 basilicas or whatever in Assisi. So it really sounds like a pretty large town, but it is a preserved medieval town. It's got a lot of winding cobblestone roads. So we definitely want to make sure that we save time to get there and do some exploration.
Yeah. I just love that like, we'll be able to make that determination. We'll get to do that at our own pace as well once we reach really the third day of hiking.
And one thing to remind people that are listening to this, if you got 8 miles into the 11-mile part and you're just like, you know what? I've had it. I'm done. I've got a blister on my foot or something like that, right? Whatever it is, you can always hop in a taxi or something and go the last 3 miles. There's nothing that says you have to finish every part of this walk on foot.
Yeah, that's true. And we actually have the local contact information of the taxi company that they have set us up with to like transport our luggage, to pick us up and take us on the front end and the back end. So we have that at our disposal. That's a good point as well.
Well, but we're going to be there right after this large festival that they call Calendimaggio, and it's a celebration of the return of warm weather. And so I'm really looking forward to this because that means that they are now excited about the warmer weather that's coming back in. And I think once again, we're going to see lots of flowers and things like that. But they say that during Calendimaggio, that they turn the whole town into a living history stage. So all the people are dressed up in costumes. They're doing reenactments throughout the town. And so maybe some of that stuff will still be there by the time we get there.
Oh, neat. So that's as we go through these different towns, we'll be able to just kind of see, the different things that they have going on. And it will be a couple of the days on a weekend as well. So typically, there's more stuff going on. So that'll be exciting to just kind of to see that and experience that from a local standpoint. Yeah. And then as far as weather, we've kind of looked at the weather, not super hot. So we will need light jackets, probably can walk in pants, a little chilly in early morning in the evening. So jacket time. So definitely like a spring feel to it. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to need to pack for this trip.
Yeah. Are you looking to plan your next unforgettable adventure? At Sunshine Travelers Experiences, we specialize in helping you create tailor-made travel journeys that turn your vacation dreams into reality. Whether you're craving a relaxing beach escape, an awe-inspiring cultural journey, or a thrilling outdoor adventure, we can help. Why choose Sunshine Travelers Experiences? Personalized itineraries designed just for you, expert travel advice and insider tips, seamless booking from start to finish, exclusive access to top destinations and hidden gems. We also book cruises, all-inclusives, groups, tours, and so much more. If you're unsure where to even start planning that bucket list trip, start by asking us. Then let Sunshine Travelers Experiences handle the planning so you can focus on making the memories. Explore now, sunxtravel.com. If you have any questions, email us info@sunshinetravelers.com. So, this is going to be a different type of trip for us as well, because this is more around activity and being active and being outside. And so I'd say it's slightly different than some of the others we've done. The most recent one that we did that was more activity was in Iceland, and it was just freezing cold. So very different packing list for this trip.
Yeah, that was activity with, for me, leggings and ski pants. So I'm thinking, well, I guess let's talk about shoes. We definitely want shoes that are waterproof just in case we experience some rain, but really good for walking and hiking. I haven't decided yet. Have you narrowed it down on your end? You got a couple of things
Yeah, I'm trying out a new pair of shoes from goruck.com and just going to see how those go. I'm breaking them in before the trip, but they're really designed around the type of activity that we're doing. And they're supposed to help protect your ankles and your Achilles. So, which that's important after having an Achilles injury late last year, whenever that was.
Yeah, the year before actually, but yeah, I don't think you could do the little knee scooter on this trail.
Yeah, so interested in protecting that Achilles.
Yeah, and you've also done a lot of research about some hiking socks too.
Yeah, I did. I was looking it up, and they talked about getting the merino wool socks. And this is important because these socks don't absorb odor and they don't get as dirty. And so literally you can wear them multiple days in a hiking trip without having to change socks. So I know some people are kind of like, oh yeah, but here once again, we're talking about a minimized packing list, right?
Yeah.
We're always trying to help you pack less for these types of trips. But, they say you can just wash them out in the sink, and because they don't absorb odor, that's not a problem. They don't absorb the bacteria and stuff like that. So literally people that I've read have said they take a couple of pairs of socks on a trip with them.
Wow. So we'll have to report back on that. Same brand?
I did get some from the same brand, but there's lots of places out there that are selling merino wool right now.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, because if they're like for hiking, probably a little bit bulkier. And I guess we should go back and mention, while we can have a bag as big as a checked bag, and we will have, I don't know, I haven't decided roller bag or what we're going to do yet. One of them can be 22 kilograms.
Which is about 45 pounds.
Okay. So that's pretty heavy for like the US. 50 is the limit. And then we typically both carry like a backpack or something, which we can then, my idea is then we will kind of put some of the heavier stuff in that and then use that backpack as a day pack. So they will transport basically one suitcase, that 22 kilogram, 45 pound bag for us. And then we can carry the other, but we're going to want to carry water and make sure we have our jacket and maybe some snacks and stuff as well. So then, like we mentioned, layers. So what do we think? Lows in the 50s, 60s. So if we just kind of have some different layers. And I think too, like you mentioned about merino wool socks, but I think probably some other t-shirts or that kind of thing would come in handy for like sweating and not having the odor.
Yeah, I think the merino wool is kind of the way to go on this trip. It's moisture wicking, so it pulls that moisture away from your body. It dries fast. It doesn't absorb odor. And so, you could, wear some of these layers multiple days on the trip easily.
Yeah. And that just minimizes your packing and then just minimizes how much stuff you have to carry and
guys,
buy. And
we can't emphasize enough, when you are in Europe, you do not need to take 3 outfits for a day. And you definitely don't need to show up to Europe with a bunch of roller bag suitcases, because you're going to be clickety clackety clank across all these old cobblestone streets. You're going to be staying at places that may not have elevators. And so you have to walk up, a couple of flights of stairs to your room. So when we talk to you about packing light, we're really trying to help you prepare to travel better on these trips.
For sure. So, because I was just thinking we do have to navigate, while we can check a bag, on the airplane, but we do have to still navigate the trains and stuff like that. So excited to pack for this and see how we can make that all work. So then probably something a little bit nicer to change into for dinner. But again, thinking I would have it to where I could maybe mix and match it with a shirt and wear that multiple times. Of course, a packable rain jacket just in case. And then you've also looked into some like collapsible hiking poles, maybe?
Yeah, it's absolutely not a necessity. And so, if you're running out of space in your suitcase and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get everything there already, then scrap the poles because I don't think you have to have them. But they say that it's actually some good motion, with your hands to walk. Think of like an elliptical type machine. And so you might want to have some of those poles. Most of the traveling that we're going to be doing are on kind of these rural roads. It looks like maybe a lot of kind of paved paths, some off-road, dirt paths, things like that. But I don't think that there's any terrain that would say you have to have those.
But as you go up in strenuous level, I guess, on these, then you might want to do
Yeah, if you're hiking through the Swiss Alps, you probably won't have these.
So, and we're going to put some links to a lot of these things too, if you just want to kind of take a peek at what we have or, what we're also, going to add as we get ready for this. A small first aid kit with some Band-Aids that we can keep in our day pack just in case, maybe a little bit of insect repellent and sunscreen, stuff like that. We can't forget our European power adapter. We definitely have some of those that we use and recommend that are pretty compact and then where you can plug them in and then charge your other devices. So we're going to link that. I'll definitely bring along a portable battery charger that I can recharge each night just in case, because then I'll be using my phone for, pictures and videos and stuff as well. So even if we end up, we have the offline maps, even if we end up putting on airplane mode, we want to make sure that we have that to use.
Yeah, I would say make sure you have that portable battery charger because that map is going to be important getting you one place to another.
Yeah.
And so if your battery on your phone goes dead, how are you going to know where to go?
Yeah. So I have a couple that I really love. And then, of course, our Gig Sky eSIM as well. So we expect to be able to stay connected, but just in case, we will be out in a little bit of rural area. So we will see. So we'll have some links to those. And then look out for some more information on how some of these products did. And we'll probably be talking about them too as we, after the trip and as we wrap that up, sharing those essentials with you.
Well, we're really looking forward to this venture through Umbria with Max Adventure, slowing down, soaking up the landscape, and experiencing the charm of towns like Montefalco, Bavagna, Spello, and Assisi. It's a chance to connect with the culture, the food, and each other in a deeper way, all while enjoying the freedom of a self-guided walking journey. We hope this episode gave you a feel for what's ahead and maybe even inspired you for your own future travel plans. Be sure to follow our journey on social media or email me at scott@sunshinetravelers.com. And let us know if you have done this tour before. The world is full of sunshine and surprises. Make 2025 the year that you explore beyond the familiar. That's a wrap on this episode. We hope it gave you some inspiration for your next adventure.
If you enjoyed the show, we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. It helps others find us and keeps the travel conversations going.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss a new episode.
And come hang out with us on Instagram or Facebook at Sunshine Travelers Podcast. That's Travelers with 1 L.
Most importantly, share this episode with a friend. You never know, they just might become your next great travel companion.